Yes, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. And I'm stoked today. This is the first. I know we just started doing video a little while ago, but this is the first time I actually have two guests on remotely. I got Mike McColgan, who you may know as the frontman of the Street Dogs and formerly of Dropkick Murphys. And then no stranger to the show, I think making his third appearance or fourth at this point. I don't even know. The infamous Johnny Rioux, also from Street Dogs and the Bruisers and the Defiant. These guys are long musical. We got a lot of Boston music history, Boston punk history in the house right now. I think me and Mike are in Massachusetts, and Johnny's coming live from Texas, right?
Yeah, from Texas.
Unless you moved on me and didn't tell me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us, Truth. Once again, thanks for the support.
Absolutely. And Mike is just off a trip from Ireland. We were catching up a little bit before we hit record here. Yeah, man. So fellas, what's happening? Out of the blue, started seeing Street Dogs dates. I didn't even know. I was stoked to see it. What's the story? You got a bunch of shows coming up.
I think the impetus to it was getting asked by Punk and Dropkick to play July 31st. Sick of It All couldn't do the show, and Lou Kohler, I think, has esophageal nodes, cancerous nodes, that he has to get removed. And we get a lot of history with Sick of It All. We toured with them in the United States, and we've been on like numerous festivals with those guys in Europe. So, I mean, we all stepped up around that and wanted to be involved and be able to like fill in for them. I mean, we would never fill their shoes, but to fill the gap for those guys is an honor. And
absolutely,
it's an honor of honors. Like people will throw those words around like, oh, it's an honor. But when it comes to Sick of It All, like they're one of the best, if not the best band in that genre. Those guys in Agnostic Front are the standard bearers, the Godfathers, and the litmus test for any hardcore band.
And yeah, I mean, also, Mike and I had gotten together back in it was during Packers event. It was during the Hooligan Holiday in Boston. Mike and I had met up around that for coffee, and we've just kind of been talking ever since about things that we could do around our around the anniversary that we have coming up in 25 for our Back to the World record. And so we were talking about, Mike was sort of filling me in on what he'd been up to in his life, and I've been filling him in on what was going on in my life. And we kind of had enough of a break apart from one another to sort of come together as this idea, around our 20th anniversary of Back to the World. And do a handful of shows and kind of to give the proper send off to the Street Dogs that we wanted to give before. It just felt like we were ready to give it that send off now. And then we were planning stuff anyway for next year, but I think in the short term, our booking agent said, "Hey, Sick of It All had to pull off of the show. Would you guys have any interest in kind of jumping in there for him?" And we were like, we just kind of asked everybody involved. Toby was involved in this as well, and Paul Rucker, our old drummer Paul Rucker, and so these guys were involved, and so we were asking them. They were totally down for it, so it was like, we decided to do that, and then so once we booked that, we thought, well, it's kind of a shame to get together and just do this festival set. Like, we kind of want to do something more than that after all this time not playing music together and this and that. And then so I hit up Packer and I was like, Packer, can we book a show as well? And he was like, yeah, let's book a show. So now we just dropped a show. We just announced that. I think when this.
Nope, we lost Johnny.
Come back, Johnny. Well,
all right. Mike, you can take over for him until he gets back. We'll see.
What I was about to say is when this podcast airs, there'll be tickets on sale for a show Thursday, August 29th at the Middle East. I know the Pilfers are gonna be on the show. A band called the Rins are gonna be on the show, and our good friend Ryan Packer was gracious enough to like organize the show. And festivals are great, and we're super grateful to be able to like fill in for Sick of It All. But one of the things about festivals, because there's a lot of bands, is that your set is limited, and that's understandable. I mean, you have to fit all the bands, and you have curfews and all of these things. And so I think the feeling was, well, we could play a headlining show beforehand, rehearse for about a week before we do that, knock the dust off and retool everything, and we could play longer, and I feel like if people want to see us and haven't seen us in a while, like playing that Middle East show gets us, we play a longer set, and they would be able to hear more. Johnny's back.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know where I cut off.
He's back.
He's back. Yeah. Mike kind of wrapped up the thing about the Middle East show. Kind of the story with that. And where I know, because that's going to sell out quick, because Middle East, has got a capacity that is a good punk rock capacity, but is going to sell out quick for you guys. Where will people be able to get tickets for that? Is there a link for that yet? If not yet, what I'll do is I'll add it to the show notes as soon as it's available. But like,
yeah, you know what? That's probably a good thing. I could probably come up with that quick enough. I'm sure Packer has that sorted out.
Yeah, or I can hit up Packer for it if the is there a date the tickets are going to go on sale?
I think they will be on sale. So this is dropping Wednesday, so I think they're on sale today, as of Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get the link in advance and have it in the show notes. So if you're driving right now, you don't got to try and remember a big long link. Just check the show notes for this episode. And if for some reason if the link isn't available for Wednesday, I'll when it is available, I'll go back posthumously and add it into the show notes. So it'll be there as soon as that link is available. But I'll talk to Packer later tonight and try and get him.
Another thing, Truth, and I don't want to like cut in or be rude.
Oh no, not at all. This is your episode, man. You guys, this is you guys. If I'm talking too much, just shut me the hell up. Don't speak for me.
I've gone. I mean, all of us. Christ, all of us have gone to like list of Middle East shows. Seen a lot of great moments in that place.
Absolutely.
I think a lot. I think with a lot of the shows there, if you go to the website, you can just like bang, you'll see tickets, and then there'll be a list of things. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but my sense is that, at that website, you'd be able to like hit the tickets and you'd be in the mix, Yeah.
If you just Google Middle East Cambridge tickets, I'm sure that will provide you all the information you need to get to the tickets.
Correct.
But some people are lazy, so I'm going to make sure that the link is in the show notes for you guys anyway. But so yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and I know there's been a lot going on in everyone's lives. Like, and I know Johnny's like, you've been touring a lot with Defiant and whatnot. And we've talked about that because I had you on and you and Dickie on and stuff. And then how did that go? Like with that you just wrapped up a tour with Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Like how did that run go? And did it, like, what were your expectations going in and like versus how it actually went? Because I know, it's a little bit there's a little controversy around Defiant, right? Like, you know what I mean? And there's a little people pop off pro and cons and whatnot. So like, how did it go when you guys were actually out on the road?
Well, it's, one thing that we always tried to rise above any kind of like naysayer. We tried our best to like sort of not engage any sort of, because the thing is that Dickie and myself, especially, or I can only speak for myself really, but like I have the people know me, right? So like we have the reputation. So if you hear somebody say, Johnny's in an anti-vax band, or Johnny's is a conspiracy theory, or Johnny's a Trumper, or Johnny's a racist. I've heard so many things like that. But most of the people that know me and know who I am sort of know that is what it is. And it's a kind of a fool's errand to even try to chase that stuff down. So we didn't pay it any mind really. And it never even was an issue on the run. So we had nothing but everything was positive, and we just played the music and focused on the music and the unity and good times, and just sort of like you always do, and you find that you have more in common with people than not, you know what I mean? And it was beautiful, man. We had such a good time, and it was such there's just no negativity. We were all just grateful to be playing music.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And it's like one thing, we don't gotta dive into any of this. Like, one thing I'm really fucking sick of is that if you disagree with somebody in the world, like, automatically you're on some other team. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, I don't agree with this policy. Oh, you must be a Trumper. Like, no, motherfucker. I'm just as fucking
Same guy,
I'm just as like heavy on him. You know what I mean? Like, nah, dude. Like, I say fuck them all for one, but that's neither here nor there. But it's just so ridiculous how juvenile people online want to get. But like you said, when you go out into the actual world, the world ain't operating like that. There's some loud voices on the internet that make it seem like way bigger of a deal than something really is. It's just, I don't know what it is, dude. It's weird times we're living in, man. Very polarized times. But like you said, once everyone's in the same room, everyone's in the same room having a good time.
It's a real struggle it's a real struggle to not allow it to, because the best thing you can do is not to participate in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not to participate in the he said, she said, the online banter, the this and that, because it's not anything real. Like,
Yeah.
I could spend the entirety of my existence arguing with people about things that I don't believe.
Yeah.
Like things that I really do believe in, which is that, but nobody ever wants to talk to you about, what you do think or what you do feel. They want to talk to you about what you don't, and it's just,
or they want to talk to you about what their perception of what you think is different than what the reality of like, people react to headlines. They don't listen to like the whole nuance of the whole story. Like, they don't read the whole article. They read the first 3 lines and then make their opinion based on that. And it gets wild. Yeah, man. Well,
yeah, I will say, I
was at that one show and it was a fucking great time, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And like, everything, like, that whole room was just having a good time, like, the whole night, every band.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's about.
It is, man. And I think that spirit is something that I really love about that band, So.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, man. And anything coming up with that before we go? I want to jump.
Yeah, dude, like,
more cool Street Dog stuff, but like, let's
the coolest thing for me is that Defiant was already going to be on that Brockton show, that No Effect show. So we were going to do it anyway. So when Sick of It All pulled out and our agent asked about submitting Street Dogs for it, it was like, oh man, I'm going to be there anyway, and it's
double duty.
It would be sick to be able to do that. So I don't know. I think yeah, man, I'm stoked about it. I'm so stoked about it.
You're gonna blow minds because they're gonna be like, wait, that dude's in a union band and the anti-vax band. This dude, it made no sense. Oh man. Well, I mean,
although I was surprised at how many people that followed Street Dogs came out and saw us on that tour that we just did, with Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. It was super cool, and it felt great to see old Street Dog fans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys did Street Dogs for so long, like, and there's such a legacy and such like a fan base behind it. Like, it's kind of like, what's it been like? Has this been the longest you guys have? I know you guys had some hiatuses before, but is this the longest hiatus you guys have had?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I don't know. I mean, I've listened to interviews of other bands and stuff, and not many bands like highlight the human toll that this
Yeah.
thing takes on you. I think we were touring legit from about 2004 or 5 onward.
Yeah.
And going pretty full steam. And we tried to shut it down, I want to say around 2013, and everybody, everybody was feeling the bite of this thing in different ways. And then we roll into 2020. We were about to do the farewell shows with Flog 'em Out, and then COVID hits. So, I mean, we were like burnt to a crisp at that point too, like on a human level. And like, I'm in recovery from booze and drugs, and I've been sober from booze and drugs since about 1992. But I mean, my understanding of addiction through direct experience and therapy and meetings is that it isn't a 1 or 2 trick pony. It can manifest in other ways. It can manifest in gambling, shopping, technology, codependency, sex, and things like that. And that was something that happened to me, like on the road. I mean, I was promiscuous and made a lot of mistakes and was ignorant and just really selfish. You know what I mean? And when it all wound down, I had to take a hard look at that. And I went to refuge recovery to deal with that process addiction. I went into therapy. I actually went into McLean's inpatient for 2 weeks and learned about like things like cognitive behavior therapy, mindfulness-based therapy. I learned about trauma. I did EMDR. I learned about like some of my background, like being a first responder in the military and stuff, and how that affected me in a bunch of different ways. I learned about like health education in all ways and forms. Because when I went to school, I didn't get any like sex ed or anything like that. Like, what we learned about on the street was just, I guess through maybe, dirty magazines and word of mouth, you know what I mean? And so in that setting, I was able to learn things, and I really realized how selfish in a lot of ways I was at times. And, I have like a lot of healthy regret about that now that informs my behavior now. Like I live clean, skillfully, and ethically in all my affairs. And like, I don't take residence in the past, but I can reference the past in a healthy way to be like, I can't be that way. I have to, one of the last relationships I was in, I was completely monogamous the entire time. And now I'm living skillfully, and I've been upfront with, the people I'm with now about everything that's gone on in my life. So the closets are empty, and I've done a lot of work around it. I'm not tooting my own horn because I owe a lot of apologies, and I have a lot of amends to make, and I'm willing to have those conversations, and then recovery has informed me that that's possible. You know what I mean? To have a conversation where everybody's seen, heard, and feelings are valid, and it's not, people trying to vilify one another like in a combative way, just in maybe a supportive and therapeutic and kind way. So the break was really good for me, and I hate to say this because I know COVID caused widespread suffering and still does for many, but for me it was like a time for retooling and a reset, and I learned that in many different ways with recovery. It manifests in so many different ways, but we do change and we do recover, and we can do the work. And fortunately, what I do for a living, I'm able to help others, and I work as a counselor. And some of the experience I have from addiction and now being in recovery, and I'm able to help other people that are in difficult situations and need help, and I can take my experience, strength, and hope and help them out. So it's been a journey for me, and it's also taught me to stay in the present moment too. Like, I've learned about mindfulness and not like living in the past or moving ahead to the future. I can just come back to the present moment, and I'm super, super grateful that what I get to do for a living, and that we can the band can reconvene and kind of fulfill a promise to do the farewell shows. Like, we had farewell shows set up on that Flog and Molly run, and then we had some California shows set up too. And many people have referenced those shows.
Yeah.
And, you know, they want us to play at Alex's bar again. You know, they were, you know, they really wanted to go to those shows. So I don't want to speak for Johnny, but intuitively my sense is he's in agreement with me that we got to like keep that word, do those shows. And this will be like, you know, this run of shows, like the couple shows we're doing this year, the Flog and Molly cruise, those makeup shows, some stuff in the summer in Europe, and then the final Rector Halls. That'll be it, and it'll be our final farewell. And I know me and Johnny are going to do other stuff musically too that, you know, he'll speak to and I'll speak to later on. So, yeah.
So there's a few things there, like talking about the COVID times where things were shut down. I don't think we'll ever, or I hope we never see anything like that again, where people just have a year or two to like, I hope people made good use of that time, right? Like, because there was like, that's unprecedented ever in our lifetime, right? Where just people have like a year or two like off. Like, and I'm not saying off, but some people, you know what I mean? Obviously, first responders, you know, different people didn't have things off, but like that time where people had such a big chunk of time to do stuff with, like, you could either use that time wisely and creatively or constructively, or you could have just pissed it off and played Xbox, right? Like, you worked on yourself and you know, things that were a problem or problematic in your life. Do you think also part of like now is the time to do these shows because you're in a better place? Like,
Yeah.
would you have been able to do these shows before, or is it like, you know,
No,
like,
I feel that's a great question. And it's formed up really good relative to what we just talked about. I feel like, you know, like where I was unskillful and out of pocket and really, really, really selfish and just an asshole. I'll lean right into it and put my shoulder into it. And I think doing that work and continuing to do that work, like, you know, now I see the benefit and being mindful of others and compassionate and kind towards others, even when others aren't necessarily completely truthful, and, you know, they may be like embellishing or making stuff up about you. I've had people that, you know, have wanted me to go fire and brimstone and nuclear on people, but I think it was Dharma and Buddhism that informed me to see people, hear people. People have feelings, all types of different feelings, and, you know, like, just hear and see people and have compassion and kindness and composure, equanimity. And I learned about like right speech. I learned about right intention, right concentration, right mindfulness, right livelihood. Like, I think the thing that I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous a long time ago, they used to beat this drum, and I know Johnny's familiar with it. He's gone in the past. Is it's an inside job. They used to always beat that drum. This is an inside job, and it's progress, not perfection. Buddhism lays out an eightfold path and says, this is a path that where you learn that, like, tending to your own like spiritual condition and living mindfully, and is you learn that nothing externally will validate you, that chasing material stuff or no human, no shopping, no booze, no drugs, it's all a dead end road. And it's that it's becoming a friend to yourself and holding space for other people and having compassion and kindness and balance and just, Johnny kind of, this is to dovetail on what Johnny talked about earlier, like, and I've seen the change in Johnny where in the past, both me and him in the past, we will, and I'm sure this could be true of you as well, is that we were taught to, fist for fist, tap for tap, blow for blow, like all that stuff. And when you get older, and I learned this in Dharma, is that when you're always clashing, you're just perpetuating suffering. And in Buddhism, they call it samsara. And it's just, the only thing that can dissolve animosity or anger or enmity is loving kindness. And that's, just having positive regard and positive intention for all beings. And that's a tall order. And Buddhism says, point blank, are you ready to handle that? It's a lot. It's a lot, especially with that prior conditioning of growing up. Like, when you get hit, you hit twice as hard, hit first. But
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing about this whole Mike's whole journey with it. Because initially, it's like, I've known Mike for a long time, and initially when he came up with, like, in to sort of go on what, and I'm sure Mike would tell you the same thing about me. I'm sure he had a list about me and at various times of our friendship and us being in a band together. But man, he was insufferable at the end. Really living in a selfish way. You know what I mean? And it wasn't the Mike that I knew. It wasn't the street dogs that I knew. And it's really that the big impetus on like why I really wanted to break the band up in the first place. It's just Mike and I had grown into this place where it was like, I don't even know what we're doing and why we're doing it anymore or whatever. It was kind of a dark sort of, it didn't feel like our motives were in check or this or that. So then years go by and I hadn't really talked to Mike, and we would talk a little bit about certain little bits of street dog business, but we really stayed not, out of contact for most of that time. So when I first started hearing about the Dharma stuff and the Buddhist stuff, like, I appreciated it because a lot of meditation, a lot of Buddhist stuff would, I don't know nearly, I'm not going to pretend that I would know what Mike is, but I know just in little bits of meditation have helped me out in really some pretty difficult times during COVID or whatever. And, but when I heard Mike talking about it, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking about Irish Catholic Mike that I know from the van or the bus or backstage, telling fart jokes and like talking shit to each other. And like, you know what I mean? Like this Mama Luke is telling me about Buddhism now. Like,
he thinks he's the townie llama.
The townie llama.
I was like possible in my head. I was like, is this guy serious, right? Or is he putting on a show, or like, what the hell is he doing? But like, as I've talked to him and I've gotten to know him, like I've gotten to know this journey with him, I'm like, this is as genuine as it gets for the guy. Like, he legitimately, like, he had told me at one point, he's like, yeah, I think if I wasn't a father and working for the city the way I am, I'd consider going into being a monk kind of.
Oh, without a doubt, I would. Without a doubt. And I want to kind of, if I don't want to interrupt you, John, but I want to kind of piggyback on that. It's like last year I traveled to Thailand with a meditation group, Sangha group community. And we were out there for 2 weeks, and I got to go to 3 different monasteries and sit with monastics. And, in the back 9 of my life, like I'm in it. Without a doubt, I'm 54 years old. I'm in the back 9 here. I think further on down the line, I wouldn't rule out becoming a monastic and taking robes, because I really feel that the Buddhist path, the Dharma, in the Thai forest lineage of Theravada Buddhism, more specifically the Dhamma, is the way out of suffering. And when you live skillfully and ethically, and you take these precepts and you take this eightfold path, and you learn to understand these Four Noble Truths, and you just become more skillful, what happens is when you transmit that inward, inevitably you start to transmit that outward. And that's when you can extend kindness, compassion, equanimity, and appreciative joy to all beings, everybody, even people that, you know, are speaking ill of you. You can have compassion and kindness towards them. And
Mike,
you realize that everybody on some level, all people want to be happy. Like I think that's the universal thing, is to have some ease, have some comfort, be able to have a living. And you start to realize that, and you have compassion for all beings. And this path helps you, like I said, you can take accountability for where you are unskillful and wrong, continue to make amends, and you can use like your experience with all this stuff to be more skillful in the present, and then help other people out too.
I wanted to ask something, and you've probably addressed this, but I want to ask it more direct because there might be more to it. You know, you've done work on yourself in a very multifaceted way, with through recovery, through therapy, and through engaging or getting involved in Buddhism. And I've talked to people in therapy before, or people in recovery before, but not a lot of people who've done kind of such a multifaceted approach. And so, just out of personal curiosity, but also for potential help of anybody listening, because all right, our audience is punk rock, hardcore people, motorcycle people, and then people that are just into weird shit. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that could use some direction. How did those things work? Like, was Buddhism like a final piece that brought things together, or did these things work symbiotically together, like recovery and therapy and getting into Buddhist thought? Did that like work like in a symbiotic type way, or were they ever at odds, or was there things to struggle with, or did it all kind of integrate together?
I think initially refuge recovery was the thing I was introduced to.
And can you just go over what refuge recovery is?
Sure. It's like a Buddhist inspired recovery pathway that deals with process addictions, and it deals with substance abuse use disorder as well. And it was from going into refuge recovery and taking on that pathway to deal with the sex and codependency addiction that I got introduced to Dharma and Buddhist Sangha groups. And then I was encouraged by a teacher to seek therapy, to seek inpatient therapy, and get exposed to different modalities and different types of therapies to address things that I was in denial about. PTSD. I was in denial about stuff from the military, or having been a first responder and having worked as a first responder in different capacities. Like, I had this old salty, like towny, like toxic masculinity, like limited view that never served me or anybody else for that matter. That you suck it up and drive on and shut the fuck up. Like I maintained that for a long time, and it's unskillful. It's not tenable, and it only hurts you. And going into therapy, I learned all that stuff, and I learned that there's resiliency, strength, and health, and like a non-toxic strength in working on these things. You know what I mean? Like leaning into them and just having receptivity, open-mindedness, and holding space, to get better and be better. And then also to see and hear other people, and just kind of, I learned from a teacher too, that in this world, that the only wise response to many things is compassion, because we are powerless over people, places, and things. That's just my own direct experience, and some different philosophies and 12-step programs and other recovery programs highlight that all the time, that the only thing that we have any real agency over is our own actions, and if we live skillfully, then the people around us will feel that.
So what do you think got you, like, I know, and because we all have friends that are like touring musicians, so like, and there's a lot of people that listen to this that are on the road. I know you guys mentioned that, like, just being on the bus, being in the van, touring so much, kind of led to, like, at the end you didn't even know why you were doing it anymore, and you guys had changed as people. Like, what do you think it is about the road that, like, I know you had other factors going on, like with PTSD from military and first responder experience, but what do you think even got you guys, like, in that space, like that negative or like changed mental health space? And like, like, knowing that now, like, how do you approach the road differently? Because that might help people that, you know what I mean, that we know that are tourists that might not even want to ask about any of this shit.
I want to give Johnny some time to address it too, because I know that he's been through a lot, and
Yeah.
it wore on us all in different ways, but I feel like he's more like tool to take this one, on the outset.
Yeah, it's weird because when you're a band like the Street Dogs, it's like we were a band that, like, in many ways we had so much to be grateful for, like in the sense that, like, we got to play tons of amazing shows and tours and put out a bunch of records, and we accomplished a whole lot more than many bands wouldn't have. But on the other,
Probably a lot more than you even expected at the beginning.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
but also on the other hand, it's like you walk away from it going, been married 3 times, I have this much in debt, I, like, really, what did it really make me financially? Like, it was a hustle every day. You can look at it in so many different ways. I missed so much of my kids growing up. Spent some. I had my own issues with pharmaceuticals and stuff that sort of shaped how I would, view that whole thing in the years
Sure.
to come.
I remember the Sleepy Johnny days, man. You come a long way, dude. And shout out to both of you guys for putting in the work and changing things around. But sorry, I didn't mean to derail it, but I just wanted a Sleepy Johnny reference.
But it was, there was a lot of, there's a lot of things you do to just sort of skip the monotony of it. And then, also it's like I know for me, I really started resenting it to a certain degree. I, like, started thinking about the debt that I had and how much I missed of my family and just all of the negative aspects of playing. And then on top of it, in my head, I was like, now Mike's a fucking asshole. And, this happening and, like, that's happening. Like, what are we really doing? And it's all, dude, the thing is that I'm a punk rock musician, so I'm not all there anyway. So my head starts spiraling into negativity very easily as it is. So, like, if there's a few bad things that are going on, I can really spin with it, right? So it's like by the time the Street Dogs broke up, it was just, I think Mike and I always knew that, if we're starting to treat each other like siblings that are just bickering with each other, you know what I mean? And, like, we're not gonna do that type of thing. But at the same time, we have to respect each other enough to know that, like, we're gonna keep this going for each other, or not, or whatever, like, it's he can't do it without me, I can't do it without him, kind of thing. And we had to be right with that, I think. We had to be in the right sort of headspace. And I was just convinced after meeting Mike in November, I was like, man, he's done a lot of work on himself. Some of it I don't even know. Like, he's like, hey, let's write a song together. And it's like, the whole song is like Buddhist stuff. And I'm like, dude, this is great. This is a great song that you just wrote. But, like, our people kind of like the working class songs, like maybe the Buddhist song, and he's like, no, I get it. I understand what you're saying, like, and we were sort of back to what we were, it was cool. It was super cool. And to be honest, like, I'd be stoked with a Buddhist street dog song. I think it'd be awesome. But I was just kind of, we were giving each other shit about it, like, you know,
Yeah.
what I mean, and I don't know.
Good natured ball buster. So now, you know, having the time and for reflection, and you guys have like done some like work on yourself. Is this like, are these shows now like something that you're actually like amped about and like stoked and gonna do like proper send off? It's not like it's like the whole set like change now with that.
Yeah.
I think we feel it's like, I feel like I'm friends with Johnny again. And that's how this all started in the first place. You know, it was like we were friends, and we love a lot of similar music, and there was always like when we were together in a room making music, there was always a connection that still exists. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah,
and I'm eager to get back in the room and just have fun with my friends making music, and the intentionality is just to make people happy. You know, to be mindful of people and be kind to people, and you know, like, to me, like, kindness isn't a strategy, it's a way of life. It's not performative. Like I took precepts to walk this walk and live this path, and I really do believe karma is a real thing, and I've justifiably been punched in the face by it, and people who have called me to account and stuff like that, I have a lot of gratitude towards them in a lot of ways, because they woke me the fuck up, you know. And not all the stuff that people have said is true yet. I really feel grateful that I've woken up, and I walk a different way today, and I can hold space for all people now. And that, like, it's like Johnny said, like, there's a 7-year-old, like, this, if I went back in the past 7 years ago, there's a version of me that would want to fist fight the version of me right now.
Yeah.
It's like I really have changed, and that's one other thing I've learned in this path, is that all things are impermanent, and that everything on, you know, every level is changing, you know, and nothing is permanent. And I feel like doing the good in front of me, and, you know, like, tending to like my inner world and living like clean and good, it just feels good. It's good for my son. My son has a good example now, and like, I love and adore my son. And, you know, like, we had talked earlier before we got going about the Donegal trip I went to. I got to go back to my Nana's family in Carandana, Donegal, and I was with her nephew Seamus and Mary O'Doherty, and it was just as Irish as it sounds when I describe it. I mean, green rolling hills and beautiful sights and great food, and then they took us in like we were their own, and they were like, you can bring your son, you can bring your girlfriend, like, you're one of us. And it just felt so good, you know what I mean? And that one of us feeling or sense, that goes to me and Johnny and Toby and Paul, and then even Reese, who's going to play with us. Like, I've never set foot in a room with Reese, but I've watched the Disasters play, and like, Reese's enthusiasm to play, and his commitment and his work ethic, and I'm really, really excited for what's to come. And yeah, it really feels good. It feels like we're friends again.
Yeah.
It's the proper send off, I think, that the street dog should have done. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't able to do, because of COVID and everything that was happening around that. We weren't able to do the send off that we really wanted to do. So it's like, all right, now let's take this time to kind of do a handful of shows and really try to do the send off that we're doing. And the other thing too, honestly, like, I'm a huge fan of Mike, and I guess we can't really say specifically where it's going to be or whatever, but, you know, Mike has entertained the idea of doing performing the Do or Die songs too.
Nice.
I mean, we've talked about that, and I'm pretty sure something's going to form up relatively soon. And, you know, I don't necessarily know that, you know, myself and Kenny or Matt or Rick would ever get a chance to do it. I mean, God, we're we're all getting up there now, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, and you know, they're all busy. They got things going on and everything. And I kind of just want to stoke people out. I've had so many people like over the years ask me if I would ever, do something like that. And for a long time, I said no. And now I'm like, the intentionality behind it is just, let's just make people happy and have some fun. That's a great record.
Yeah.
And everybody that was on that record had a part to do with it. And I had a part to do with it too. And there was a certain spirit in that album that is powerful. It was potent. And I got to give a big tip of the hat to the Swingin' Utters too. Like, I just have to, because at the time when we made that album, those guys were it. Like, they were just rupturing every room they went into live. Their records, like The Streets of San Francisco, then Juvenile Products of the Working Class after that, and so many other records they've done. It's just that spirit what has a lot to do with them. It has a lot to do with the Clash, Stiff Little Fingers,
Sure.
Champ 69, on and on it goes,
Yeah. So there's a hint that you guys might be doing some a tour, like some shows at least, just performing the Do or Die record.
Well,
yeah,
Is that what we're hearing? Some kind of band piecing something together and doing that.
As a fan of Mike's, I think really excited for that, because I think, I always loved it. I always loved that particular record, and I always thought the way Mike's approach was to that record, and I thought, man, it'd be cool to hear him do it front to back.
Yeah.
It should be noted. It should also be noted too. A big debt of gratitude and like the engine room and the catalyst to how that record sounded and how we all approached it was Lars Frederiksen. He kicked our fucking asses. Like, he worked us so hard, and I'll give you one case in point. It was, and you can hear it in the song too. Like, I thought me and him were gonna go at it after on this song. It was I think it was Fight Starter Karaoke, and he thought my approach was less than good, and he just said, I want you to go in there mad. I don't, you know what I mean? He uses a few choice words. And I was kind of mad at him. Like, but he did his job. Because when I did that take, you can hear, like, he got what he wanted. And then, years later, I can, like, in retrospect, I have a clearer lens on that. And I can see he pushed us all. He pushed Kenny, he pushed Rick, he pushed Matt. Like, he pushed Rick really hard. And Rick responded, it was, and everybody responded. Everybody played out of their head on that record,
Hence the name of the record, right? Do or Die, right?
Yeah, it really was in a lot of ways. Yeah. It was like, this record's going to be good. We're going back to our day jobs.
Yeah. And so I think you guys said too, like, have you announced like the full lineup of people? Because I know the Street Dogs has had a litany of players over the years, like what the lineup of these shows are going to be. I know you said Toby's back.
Well, when we first sort of started when Mike and I first started talking about doing it, we thought we should get, if it's going to be, first of all, we thought let's get whoever wants to kind of be involved, but we thought let's get that sort of classic lineup going of, and the classic lineup of when we kind of got going was really like Paul Rucker, and that's really when we started headlining shows and doing cool stuff and becoming the band that we ended up just becoming a good live band, and that was really with those guys. So we really wanted Marcus too on lead guitar, but really just couldn't get him, couldn't find him or whatever. We'll see. Maybe down the line one day we'll be able to do something with Marcus. But honestly, like I did that, the Disasters with Roger and Reese Kill, he was Roger, like in back in those days, like I was in New York and Roger was like, man, this moved here from New Zealand. you know, he's working at the 99X at this clothing store in New York, and let's go meet him. He's going to play guitar or whatever. But anyway, so fast forward, Reese ends up playing in Roger and the Disasters, and he was a hell of a guitar player. So,
Yeah.
and stylistically, what Reese does and what Reese is doing is exactly what I always wanted from even the very early days of Street Dogs. I always wanted Reese to be in Street Dogs, but he just wasn't able to for whatever reason. So I'm just happy he was able to work out. Like, of course, we're gonna miss Marcus, and you know, I'm sure Lenny will be there to some degree. Hopefully, he'll get up or whatever through it. You know, everyone who's been involved in it, we hope they're there. And
yeah, the door's always open to hop up there and grab a mic and sing in. And it's like, I feel like it's always been that way. Like we knew, I think when we started it wasn't going to be like the type of band like that has an original lineup forever. We knew that. I think we kind of intuitively knew, and then, you know, like spoke to the fact that it would be interchangeable. So, you know, thank you to Jeff Verna, Rob Godotti, Joe Soroyce, Matt Pruitt, Lenny Lashley. You know,
Yeah.
even there's so many people. I'm probably even like Craig from Agnostic Front was gonna play the shows that got canned in March of 2020. Thank you to him.
Yeah. And
You know, Pete Sosa, thank you to him. You know, great guy, great person. Gavin Caswell, who's in Census Fail. Like, thank you to all of those guys. They're family. You know what I mean? There's nothing negative to say. Like, I don't have a negative word to say about anybody anymore, because it's just, I kind of like, I want to be kind, and I want to like speak the right way. And I know if I'm using wise speech, I'm not creating any bad karma for myself. And I have a lot of strong gratitude towards everybody who ever put blood, sweat, and tears up on that stage with us, you know?
Hey, Mike, get Packer into this Dharma thing. I feel like it could rub off on him.
Well, I will say, the other day in group text when you called me Captain Dickface, I feel like, you know, I was like, now might be the time to try to get him into Dharma or Refuge Recovery or AA. He knows I love that guy like a brother. And I mean, talk about a guy that, I mean, he's gotten up on stage with us many times too and played guitar and sang. The one thing a lot of people don't know about Packer, and he's probably gonna fucking kill me for saying this, but he can sing. He's got a good voice. I think he's kind of like a little ambivalent about it, and I don't know what, but he can actually sing pretty good. And you know, he's gotten up there with us, and he's the guy's like a brother to us. Such a wonderful being, you know. He's very salty, and he could use some therapy and some recovery pathways, and those doors are always open to him, you know.
Yeah. Is
he going to TM those shows? Is he going to TM those shows for you?
He's promoting the Middle East one.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be there with us too. It's hard to do Street Dogs without Packer, you know.
Yeah.
He was such a part of it too, you know.
One of the best things, truth, right? I know Johnny will remember this. Every morning, from the first fucking show he did with us to, you know, some of the last, he'd be like, I just want you guys to know this is going to be my last day. He would start every morning at morning coffee.
He wouldn't really say it exactly like that. He'd be like, this is my last day working for you, blanks.
Yeah. He had some unsavory words that he would use.
Yeah.
So
God bless him.
Mike, you've talked a lot about you know, your process and recovery and going down the path you've gone down. I know, like, I'd be remiss to bring this up because, like, I know there's like probably a little bit of shit flying about you guys playing again and whatnot, and I know you've probably gone through and made amends with people you got to, but there's going to be a lot of dumb people on the internet just having opinions and stuff. Do you have any words for like that? You know what I mean? Like people that might have something to say that might not even be involved in any situation or whatever, but
No,
it's something that's going to come up. So it's like,
oh, without a doubt.
this is a channel, like a venue for you to be able to kind of address that stuff, you know?
You know, like I this is a great question, and I didn't feel like, you know, talking about any of that was good if I hadn't put any work into recovery and changed. I
Yeah.
felt like that would have been hollow and kind of like superficial and just really empty, grandstanding and just smoke blowing.
Yeah.
I like, you know, if you see me at any of these shows, I would talk with anybody. And I'm willing to make amends with anybody. And, you know, my thing is like, I'm willing to hold space for people and have conversations, kind conversations. And I don't have anything bad to say about anybody, even people that have like not necessarily been, you know, very truthful about me.
Sure.
But I've learned about karma that, you know, and I've gotten punched in the face, and I said earlier, justifiably, and called out justifiably. Not everything that has been said is true, but it was a wake-up call.
Yeah, I think it's important, Mike, that you probably, you know, emphatically say that you haven't done anything sort of illegal or.
Oh yeah, like everything that I've ever done is consensual and all that. I mean, I've, you know, been unskillful with like social media, like communication and all that stuff and promiscuous and all that stuff, but I haven't done anything illegal.
Yeah.
And, you know,
honestly, if you had done anything really raw and nasty, I wouldn't even have you on the show. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And, you know, I don't need to make big protestations about that, or
yeah.
I feel like, how I, you know, like, I don't feel like I need to like go blow for blow with people like that. I feel like I just need to pray for them, meditate for them. And if I see them, you know, and then they want to speak to me, like I'd hold space for them. You know,
Yeah.
That's the difference now. Like, is I think like the way I walk and the way I live runs completely contrary to how some people would betray me. You know what I mean? And living clean and living in Dharma and living sober is just a nice place to be. And I'm grateful that we get to play again. I'm grateful that we get to fill the gap for Sick of It All. And I'm grateful that we get to do like a final farewell, and the intentionality behind it is wholesome.
Yeah.
And we just, like friends want to have fun, and we want to play music again and stoke people out.
Yeah, you know, and I think even as friends and as a fan, I'm more stoked that you guys are doing it with this mindset than if you just threw some last shows together when everything was kind of a little more messy. You know what I mean? So I think people are going to be real appreciative of that. Wherever you guys play, like I know you guys got fan base all over the world. So I think that's going to be something that shows it's going to make it even better shows for people, you know? You guys hinted around, are you guys thinking of like recording anything new? Like I know you said you worked on the one song there. Is there any plans to do like an EP or something?
You know, we were talking about and doing because we're going to re-release our Back to the World record. We're going to release it really.
Anniversary, right?
Yeah. For the anniversary of that. And so we were talking about doing something, and maybe if not as a 7-inch, at least maybe as a gift to our fans or whatever, you know what I mean? Just put a song out, record a song just for the hell of it, you know, just that's in memoriam of the band or whatever. But also we also want to put sort of all of the old stuff out too, you know, all the old demos and B-sides, and we want to put it all out there. It's just kind of, that's what we're going to do, and really sort of see this thing off in style, you know, the way that we should have before, you know, COVID and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah, man. Anything else you guys got going on or want to talk about?
I'm really grateful that I did the first like bit of press or interview I've done in quite some time here, because I feel like knowing you as long as I have, this is a true forum, and this is us being true to our school.
No, and I appreciate you guys coming on, and doors are always open, and it's like with this, it's like just free form, man. Like whatever you guys want to talk about. Like there's no, there's no questions, there's no preconceived anything. It's just three friends. This is like shit we'd be talking about sitting in the van driving around, right? Like,
yeah. It's incredible to be. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done any press with Mike in 5 years or more.
Yeah,
so
it's been
cool to be doing it again, and to be doing it with you is the coolest part of it. So
yeah, no, I'm honored to have you guys on, and that this was the outlet you chose, man. Like I appreciate it, and we keep it Boston, right? We keep it moving, keep it.
No.
I'm gonna die all night thinking about the Townie Llama, dude. Like I don't know why. That's just making me fucking die. That should be the name of the song, man.
Yeah.
That would be a bad idea. That's not a bad idea for a song name. I think you're onto something. I like it.
Dude. Fuck yeah, man. All right, so
hopefully we see you at Brockton or for the Middle East show.
Before you get on, Mike already wrote me into having to go do drink tonight. So I'm at the Cambridge show, and I'll be at the Brockton show too. Like, you know what I mean? To hang out, you know what I mean, and see what's going on. That's gonna be a killer show. I can't wait. I'll go to anyone I can, you know what I mean? Because especially if it's the last ones, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Do you guys is there gonna I know you guys are probably still getting everything together. Do you have a list of is there a list of all the shows up yet on any of the social media or the website or anything?
We don't have the full list yet because there's a couple of things that we haven't. Like there's a couple of things that we're going to announce as we come. But in terms of what's announced right now, we have the Middle East, and then we have the Brockton show, and that's August 29th. 29th.
Thursday night, yeah.
And then the 31st, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
August
Saturday.
Is the Middle East, and then August 31st is Brockton, and then after that we have the Flogamali Salty Dog Cruise. That's in February. That's already sold out, unfortunately. And then after that, looks like we're going to do a little bit in Europe next year, and a little bit in maybe a week or so on the West Coast, and then finish up the whole thing with a Wreck the Halls in Boston. And And then,
man, Boston needs another at least one more Wreck the Halls, because it's been something that's been missed. You know what I mean? That was always something to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure, man. We missed it too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. What are the social medias or like the websites or anything where people can go to find out more? Are you guys updating all the Street Dog stuff?
Yeah, we're doing the best we can with keeping that up to date as we can. But yeah, Street Dogs Official will have any kind of officially announced shows and all that.
Instagram.
With it.
Be the best way to go.
Yeah.
All right. And I'll have all that stuff in the show notes. So like I said, like not everyone's watching this. It's weird, man, because I don't know, like, obviously I just started doing the video like a few episodes ago. So it's like always been an audio only. So I don't know how many people are actually listening versus watching. Actually, I know more people are listening because on Spotify we slay it, right? But like on YouTube, it's just building up because we just started doing video. So if you are one of the people listening, all this stuff will be in the show notes, so you don't have to remember it. Don't swerve around and get in an accident. Just when you get home and you get near a computer, you can pull up, and all the information will be there, all so that you can get in touch with these guys and see where all the shows are. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I'm gonna
so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, man. Obviously, dude. Like I was looking forward to this as soon as you hit me up, Johnny. I'm gonna shut the recording off, but I'm not hanging up. So hold on 1 second.